Okay, this is better. Hello, everyone. I'm Rami. I'm gonna talk a bit about Dataline, which is one of my side projects. It's not what I do full time. Full time, I'm a senior backend engineer. But I started this around 2 years ago, and it was a weekend experiment. And I'm not gonna talk as much about the product as I'm gonna talk about everything else around it. Because if you can go on your own, check it out online. I have some demos, you can even try it. It's fully open source. So that's not what I'm gonna be focused on, but I'm gonna give you something that you can't find online, which is like a more personal experience with it. So why I built it and how, and a bit about what it is, just so you have an idea. So I'm Rami. I have a full stack ML and a bit of game development background. Been maintaining two main projects that are open source and some other tiny ones that no one uses probably. I work mainly with Python and Golang and React within my side projects, but job-wise I go for backend usually because I don't like designers telling me what to do. I like doing my own designs. And I'm based in South Holland. And these are the logos. I'm very proud of that logo, which is a project I joined after it was probably like 5 years old. So at an old job, I had a request one day, which was from my product manager to get them a chart of X from the database. And so I went to the database, wrote some SQL, and then had to write some matplotlib to draw the proper charts and stuff. And then that wasn't the end of it, because then they asked for more and more, and understandably so, because querying data is not like a one-time thing. You don't always know what data you have, you don't always know what you really want, so you really need to play with it a bit, explore it, same as you would with designing anything else. So you're trying to find insights, and that takes iterations. And so, because it took a bit of iterations, I ended up spending a lot of time on it, which went out of my sprint time, which wasn't planned. And so the solution was, let's dedicate part of your time to doing this every week. But I felt like it was more of a band-aid, and it wasn't dealing with the real problem that is underlying this, which is that the product manager can't do their own queries on the database, and they can't do their own visualizations. And they didn't really have to go and learn all this stuff on their own. And that was also intersecting with, ChatGPT coming out, API tool calling also coming out. So I decided to run a weekend experiment, not for work, just for fun. And this chart obviously popped into my mind. I don't know who knows this, but every time an engineer faces a problem, they try to automate it. So there's an XKCD on when you should start actually automating it and when it's worth it. But sometimes it's not about whether or not it's worth it. Sometimes it's just about having fun. And this was the case for me. So I went and mixed ChatGPT with tool calling with some fast API and React app, and Dataline was born. And this was the first experiment. It wasn't even called Dataline, it was text to SQL, very specific. Did one thing. It wasn't very user-friendly, and I didn't really I didn't really plan to do anything with it. It was just a nice one-time experiment that I can tweet about and forget about. So yeah. I should have shown you a picture of Dataline today here, but in general, today it has more than 1,000 stars, which is the first side project of mine to reach that. And it's still growing somehow. Even though I haven't touched it much, to be honest. But it's still growing, because I put in at least some foundational work in there. And I still plan to pick it up more and more later. So it's basically chatting with your data and analyzing it and visualizing it. These are the three things I wanted to focus on. But I also wanted to take a direction where there's not much competition, because I didn't want to try and sell this or anything, and I wanted to be privacy first. I think if I don't have interests, then I can make it privacy first, because I'm not trying to make money as well. So hosted is not what I'm gonna go for. even though a lot of people are asking for it, weirdly enough. Like, it's not privacy first, but okay. It runs local, so Docker binary and SQLite, fully local storage, and the LLM wouldn't see any of your data. So that was the point. The LLM can write the queries, can look at the structure, but it doesn't see the data. And there's no remote code execution locally, which is something that I have to say because apparently a lot of libraries run remote code on your machines to generate charts and stuff, which is super insecure. And yeah, apparently it's a thing we need to talk about now. This is an example of what it is, just to give you an idea. So you select the connection. I have a few sample DBs. And you go in, you can ask your questions. You can also enable or disable data protection. And you see the current connection here. So here we asked for a chart showing the distribution of rentals per movie category. And this is what you get. So you get some analysis without actually seeing the data. So this is why I hovered over the check mark. So you see that no data was sent to the LLM, seen by the LLM. And then you get the chart out as well. This is also generated locally. And we have a nice hack to doing this because the LLM, again, can't see the results. It also generates the table and generates the SQL, and this is an editor here. So you can also edit this and rerun it. And this is basically a dashboard. I didn't build a dashboarding feature yet because it's some work, but these are basically widgets that you can come back to and replay at a later point in time. So it's already basically a dashboard, the chat. And some of the challenges I faced working on this were that things were changing very quickly. I think 2 years ago this applied, today this still applies, weirdly enough. Things haven't slowed down much. Things still change a lot. Every day we have a new keyword. Fausto's going to talk about the latest keyword in a bit. RAG agent frameworks, graphs with LangGraph, evaluation. I rewrote the backend 4 times because things were actually changing that fast and libraries were getting deprecated at that rate. And that was like in the first year. So learning to ignore the hype and focus on the value was hard, and even build things in a way that's, foolproof and doesn't get deprecated fast. Packaging a Python backend plus React app is not fun. Don't do this. I knew that TypeScript would have been a better solution back then, but the Python AI community back then was way more advanced. We still see it today, like TypeScript libraries always try to catch up. I think now we have bigger companies like LangGraph grew a lot, LangChain grew a lot. So now they're kind of running at the same point, but it wasn't the case always. Evaluation pipelines are very necessary. So many times we would change one thing and then 90% of the requests would go to shit. So figuring that out consistently was hard. And staying motivated while working on side project is very hard. And having momentum is underrated. So like if you start, keep going, because it really helps. And when you stop, it's very hard to get back in. Having a friend helps a lot. So try to recruit someone ASAP for it. And this is also a small snapshot I took of the evaluation, but we set up a GitHub Actions pipeline that actually judges your pull requests and sees if, in general, the model is doing better or worse based on your latest changes. But we don't always run this because it is expensive. And these are links, my GitHub profile, my Twitter, whatever, you can find it all there.